Hello and welcome to Tartan Touchdown episodes, our weekly look back at all the big stories from the weekend's NFL action. In week 5, some teams continued with a great start to the season, some others reignited their seasons, however some seasons are well and truly done for. After a weekend of comebacks across the NFL, we have one of our own as last week's lineup is back for the show tonight. Sarah, you're joining me tonight, how are you?
Great, nice to see you again. I think everybody will be happy to know that you get a break from us next week. Dan has done 3 in a row, so be nice to get a break from. We also nice to get a break, which is quite good. Not that I don't
Yeah.
enjoy speaking to you every week, but
Yeah, no, that's too much. 2 weeks in a row, Sarah, too much.
too
Let's
much.
take a break. Before we get into tonight's NFL action, we need to give a huge shout out to Team Scotland under 19s. We covered the game yesterday as the game day hosts for them. I was on the PA. Gav and Sarah were creating some content and got some great videos of the action. They were victorious against SGS Pride with a victory of 52-18. SGS brought up their under 18s team to play against Scotland at very short notice, so thank you to them for doing that. For those that don't know, SGS are the leading academy in the UK for players that are out with the NFL Academy. So the SGS Pride were effectively the NFL Academy before the NFL Academy was a thing. So that shows the quality of players that they have on their books. So we also named the first ever Tartan Touchdown MVP, and I went to Jay McPherson, who had a game and a half. A superb performance all around for Scotland, wasn't it, Sarah?
Oh yeah, they were absolutely brilliant. Like I always think if you watch the NFL and then you go to kind of watch like an under teams, especially like over in the UK, I think you kind of always go, how good is this going to be? Like genuinely, it was such a good game, such a good performance. My husband's never been to one of these games before and had the time of his life. He was like, this is absolutely wild. And Dan can attest to that because he was sitting next to him all day.
Yeah.
But like even like some of these catches, like I mean, if you go on our Instagram, you can see the amazing catch that Zach Scott did. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then he eventually came back to us, and we'll shout him out. He's only been playing the game for 3 months,
That's
which
crazy.
is absolutely wild. I responded back to him, and I was like, "How you've only playing for 3 months and you're making catches like that is unbelievable." But Jay was also incredible. You can listen to an interview with him that we did after the game, and he can tell you all about his return that he wasn't supposed to do, but he went for it anyway.
And what we will tell you is before you watch that clip, the subtitles do some heavy lifting in that clip, so please make sure you pay attention to the subtitles.
I'm assuming Jay's must be from Stirling, because my gosh, even
Not just him, to be fair,
that.
they helped out with me a lot as well because the mic was not great to me. But anyway,
Stephen, must
congratulations
be
to Scotland for that. It was a phenomenal victory, a phenomenal performance all around. So congratulations to head coach Bryce and all the players over at the programme. So on to the NFL action. So we're going to start this week's look back at the week's action with the best QB performances of the week. So Sarah, who impressed you this week at the quarterback position?
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shout out my former backup quarterback and Mac Jones, because I'm not too sure that Mac Jones should be a backup quarterback in the NFL, which might be a bit of a hot take, but I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. In the game Friday night. It's Friday night football, right? Thursday night
football, yes.
You can tell you can tell that I absolutely shattered from yesterday from that insane game.
So Thursday night football,
Thursday night football for the Rams. Mac Jones does 33 out of 49 for 342 yards, which, I mean, what else do you want from a quarterback? To be honest with you, that's 2 touchdowns, only takes a sack, which, I mean, we all thought maybe wasn't going to get up after that sack, but he did. So, yeah, I was super impressed with him. I thought he played excellently.
Yeah, the stat that I put up with Mac Jones I know he's only played 3 games, but this is on an average, so this stat still counts before you can say he only played 3 games. He is the yards per game leader in the NFL so far in the 3 games he's played. He's thrown an average of 302 yards in 3 games so far. So by the half time next week, he'll have thrown for over 1,000 yards in 4 games, for 3.5 games. Assuming that he stays on the same track that he's on at the moment.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think that's great. I don't know how anybody would turn around and say that he shouldn't be starting for our team.
Well, here's a question for you on Mac Jones. You've obviously seen him at the Jags. Is Mac Jones, like you said, is he a QB1, or is that 49ers system just set up that a good quarterback can go in there and perform?
No, because Brock Purdy couldn't do it last week. So
Brock Purdy's been doing it for 2 years with that system, though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, you can't. I just don't I'm always like, if you can't. I mean, this is maybe going against my own judgment, because I've got a friend who's a 49ers fan who would tell me that I've said many other thing in the past. But I don't know how you can drop a quarterback in and he'll just make it work. And I think the problem that Mac Jones had at the Jags was the exact same problem that Trevor Lawrence had with the Jags last year. Is there was no offensive line. So how you're doing anything in a pocket is beyond me. So maybe it's a bit column A, a bit column B, but I do think with the right system and the right tools,
Yeah.
he can do it.
Yeah.
And he didn't
I
have
think
that.
what I like about that 49ers system is it's very much set up well a lot of times to take what the defence will give them. There's never massive flash plays. So the longest pass he had Thursday night was 35 yards. I mean, beyond that, there was nothing over 20 yards beyond that either. So he's one of those quarterbacks that can go in and you can just give him, take what the defence is giving you, and suddenly you're down the field because you've picked up 100 yards on 10 plays because you've picked up 10 yards each time. And I think that's where that 49er system suits Mac Jones because that's the type of quarterback is. He's not going to go out and throw the game and win you the game with spectacular throws, but he's methodical, he's generally safe with the ball. Well, he has been the last few games with the 49ers, and he's got them down the field and won them the game. On the flip side of it, I'm going to counteract with Matt Stafford in the same game, which sounds a bit crazy because they both played the same game, but Matt Stafford went 30 for 389 and 3 touchdowns. And of all the points that Rams picked up, Matt Stafford was responsible for all of them. 21 of the 23 anyway. He has already over 1,500 yards for the season. He is the passing leader in the NFL this season. Both of these teams kind of played each other very evenly in terms of yardage across the whole game. So it was 342 for Mac Jones, 389 for Matt Stafford. The Russian 74-78. So it was a very even game, and that's why it did go to overtime ultimately. So then at the end of the game, Eddie Pinheiro kicked a field goal with 4 minutes to go to put the 49ers up, and the Rams just couldn't catch them again. But yeah, Matt Stafford is rolling back the years. This Rams team's now 3-2, but on offense, showing what they can do. Let's look at the reception yards.
Well,
Adams.
they're not 3-2 because of Matthew Stafford. They're not. It's just the way that it's fumbled them both times. It's just the way
exactly. I mean, that game last night was so tight. Receiving yards, Devontae Adams picked up 88 yards, Puka picked 85 yards, and Tua Tagovailoa gets 72. See, the weapons are all there for the Rams. They just need to win games that are tight games like last night. They just didn't have enough into overtime to come win the games. Anyway, Mac Jones and Matt Stafford impressed us both on Thursday Night Football. So I'm going to go next with my homer pick. Mr. Dakota Rain Prescott. What a season he is having already. He is flying already this season. So I was looking at the stats earlier. As I said, I looked at the Matt Jones stats and I looked at the Stafford stats. In terms of players, Jones is Dak Jones. Who's he? Dak Prescott is second in the yards through the air so far this season. 1,356 yards he has thrown for this season so far. Dak Prescott is back to his MVP style play. This is how he played that year before he got injured. What?
I just can't. It's just so funny. Who would have thought it? Not me. Dan, you've played an Etsy witch. You've been like, please eventually let the Cowboys do something or let Dak Prescott do something.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think obviously as a Cowboys fan, something will come out of it later. When CeeDee Lamb get injured, I feared for our season. I thought we'd have nothing. I wasn't sure what a running game was going to look like, but Dak Prescott is on that track of that. The yards that he had in that season, he was on track for MVP before he got injured. He's just doing what he needs to do. 10 touchdowns as well, only 3 interceptions. I mean, his completion rate of 71.3 is up there again, the top 3-4 in the league this season. So, yeah, he led us to a 37-22 victory against the Jets. I mean, the Jets scored a kind of garbage time touchdown to make it look a bit closer than it was. We were in complete control of that game throughout. What's also good to see is that we're now starting to see the Brian Schottenheimer game plan with the Cowboys. We weren't sure what that was going to look like. I know he was offensive coordinator last year, but we weren't very good last year. They can see the ball's getting spread about. Ryan Flournoy, 114 yards yesterday. He is getting a shout out. So Ryan Flournoy, 114 yards on 6 catches, averaging 19 yards per catch. Massive step up from him. There's that kind of, in the Cowboys, that kind of scrap for that WR3 on the roster. Obviously, when CeeDee Lamb is fit, he made a massive shout and contribution to get that position last night as well. So, yeah, great performance of Dak Prescott. I say 18 receptions, 237 yards, but more importantly, 4 touchdowns. So, Dak Prescott for MVP campaign starts right now.
Dak Prescott.
So, was there another quarterback within the state of Texas that impressed you this weekend?
I mean, there was, which I guess is, I'm slightly angry by this because I wishfully thought that the Texans season was maybe over when they went 0-3. But I mean, I think CJ Stroud had potentially maybe the show-out game of his career so far. And I will caveat, that Ravens defense could probably blow over with a good gust of wind because it's just abysmal. And the same thing is there's no offense for them right now. So that defense can just go and absolutely stomp all over them, which is exactly what they did. They did exactly what they should have done. But we're still throwing 23 out of 27 attempts for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like, you don't just do that. Like, even against bad teams, you sometimes don't get that level of a complete precision, which is what he did. And even, on the ground, he ran for 30 yards. Like, so yeah, I was really impressed with him. It does seem like he's all of a sudden woken up and remembered how to play football from last week.
Yeah, I think like we said, and Brian's been very big on saying this about quarterbacks in their sophomore year and this sophomore slump where teams get the game film on from last year and they can scheme against them. The last 2 weeks, the Texans seem to have stepped up. And you said, like, the Ravens don't have an offense, but that Ravens defense over the last few years has been a solid defense. They've just went to pieces this year, absolutely pieces. I know Madueke I think he's still injured, isn't he? But they've given up 133 points so far this season. The Ravens defense, that's unheard of for the Ravens team.
Yeah,
I mean, that's 1-4. I mean, they're done. The Ravens are. Well, we said it last year, but this was, you mentioned about CJ Stroud. Christmas Day last year, the Ravens beat the Texans 31-2. This was revenge. This was the Texans going into that game and going, we're getting revenge for Christmas Day, and they well and truly did. So they won 44-10, stomped all over the Ravens. It wasn't even close. Cooper Rush was seen go through 3 interceptions. Who would have predicted that the Ravens could not win with Cooper Rush at quarterback?
Run the clip back. Run the clip back.
They went 14 for 20 for 117 yards. Say 3 interceptions. Yeah, the Ravens looked poor. And I think John Harbaugh's quote from the press conference today was completely disappointing. Was the performance? That was exactly what he called it, because he said not just, obviously we're missing Lamar Jackson, but all aspects of the ball. He said the Texans just played so much better than them, which is unusual for the Ravens because I know Lamar Jackson been out, but usually the defense would step up. The running game, 44 yards on the ground. That Cooper Rush needed that help. They just couldn't get the ball going. Derrick Henry averaged 2.2 yards on 15 carries,
which is also unheard of for them. Yeah. Again, it's been the entire team could fall over.
Yes, and they did. And they did. And CJ Stroud and the Texans and that Texans defense stomped all over. So great win for the Texans to get them back to 2-3. So we'll see how the season pans out. I'm going to go with another quarterback who unfortunately lost his game, but I was still impressed by him, and that's Sam Darnold. That was a great game to watch, the Seahawks and the Bucs game last night. I had it on in Red Zone, but there was so much going on near the end of the game that it was constantly on Red Zone. Sam Darnold, 28 receptions, 341 yards, but 4 touchdowns and still lost the game. The Bucs did win this game 38-35. You were probably sitting there wondering why you not giving Baker Mayfield the props because he won the game. Do you know what he did have a good game? He was 29 for 379 yards, but that 4 touchdowns Sam Darnold got. Sam Darnold done everything he could to win that game for his team. Unfortunately, the Bucs just come up and get a field goal really then to win it, which they seem to be doing quite a lot. Chase McLaughlin's definitely getting paid these big dollars for this season for the Bucs for getting those field goals. But yeah, Sam Darnold, the Seahawks have, I mean, they're 3-2, and our team that's kind of sitting at that middle of the road part at the moment, but the Seahawks have actually been probably better than I was expecting to be this season. I think they have impressed. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 132 yards and a touchdown last night. They need him to make that sort of contribution on a regular basis, because I know they've got Cooper Kupp there, but he really is their WR1, and he needs to step up and make those performances on more regular occasions and be more consistent. So yeah, Sam Darnold, good game for him. Unfortunate for him, they lost 38-35. Right, one more quarterback for us to talk about, Sarah.
One more, and it's Jared Goff. We're talking about Matthew Stafford, so I guess you sort of also have to talk about Jared Goff. They seem to come hand in hand. The Lions had a great game against the Bengals, even if towards the end they maybe thought, actually maybe we don't want to win it. Maybe we'll let you guys win it, because they let the Bengals score 21 points in that last quarter. Talking about Jared, so it was 19 out of 23 for 258 yards, which was 3 touchdowns. However, I will caveat this to say he did have 4 sacks. So Bengals defense was doing something, which is just touching.
Unusual.
But yeah,
which is unusual, you should say.
Which is unusual for them, right? Because they don't normally let that ever happen. So that's an interesting that Bengals defense again waking up and going, oh yes, I'm playing football this week. But yeah, great game overall for him. Again, like I always just think Jared Goff's just quite consistent. You kind of know exactly what you're going to get with him when he's on. He doesn't really ever look too shaken. What I did love their trick play.
Yes.
with David Montgomery. I thought that was very, very clever. I always just like when they throw something in.
Yeah, very special for him as well, because it was his homecoming game. His sister, who's not seen him play for over 18 months because she was in a car accident, is now paralysed, was at the game. So it's the first time she's seen him play. And he threw for a touchdown and also rushed for a touchdown in the same game, which was... He did used to play quarterback in high school in that state. So that was it's a nice touch from Dan
10
Campbell,
years.
give him that.
10 years that he's not... Yeah, because David Montgomery was, 64 yards on 18 carries?
Yeah.
Which considering last week he only had 9 on 12. So I definitely was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to make a bit of a statement. And I did love the stat that this is the 14th time that Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery have scored have touchdown on the same game. Which is they're tied now.
Yes, they are tied for the NFL record.
For the record. But yeah, and I'll give the Bengals some credit. Like, they did put up a bit of a fight towards the end, because again, who knows what is going on in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Jake Browning, 3 touchdowns, but also 3 interceptions. So that's not going to win you a game of football. What you say, 21 points in that fourth quarter was... Well, the Lions were well and truly ahead by then, but still, it gives them a bit of hope that they can do something.
Yeah.
But who knows what that hope actually is. You can ask Jamie and see what he says.
Yeah, I'll see. I'll find out from him.
Anybody that's watching, listening, if you think any quarterbacks out there perform better than those ones that we've mentioned this week, please do drop us a message and let us know. And if you're right, we will put a public apology out next week. Oh no, we won't, sir, because we're not here next week.
Nope,
Gavin Bryan can apologise on our behalf if we have missed a performance from a quarterback this week within those ones that we just spoken about. Right, say that I've got a new segment for you. You threw one at me last week. I'm throwing one at you this week. All right. So we've been given the keys to the NFL's lost and found room at their HQ in New York. We've rummaged through them all, and we're going to see what things were lost and what things were found this week for players or teams within the league. So, to give you a starter, I'll go first on one thing that I think was found in the NFL this week for my team, the Dallas Cowboys, and that is we have finally found a WR2 to support CD Lamb and be a WR1 while he is injured, and that man is George Pickens. I wasn't sure what to think when we picked him up at the start of the season, because he's been inconsistent with the Steelers. I've talked about his attitude, and who knows what you're going to get. We have got the best of George Pickens that I have seen in a long time. So far this season, he's 23 catches, 357 yards with an average of 15.5 yards and 5 touchdowns. But more importantly, he's had 15 catches for 259 yards, and 4 of those touchdowns have came since CD Lamb got injured. So the Cowboys have found their WR2 stroke WR1 for now until CD Lamb comes back. So that gives you an idea of what I'm looking for from him. So, give me something that you have found in the NFL's lost and found room this week.
The AFC South actually having a run to see who can win.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? And as somebody who has their team is based within the AFC South, it's always who actually wants to win this, because nobody ever. We always end up it's 9-8, and then somebody manages to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just looking like there are 3 teams that are going to make a run for it. So it feels like we're sort of split from the AFC North, that we are now in the contention. Exactly. We just flipped the polls, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, CJ, again, like I mentioned, like sort of woke up and went, yeah, okay, fine. I actually want to play football. I want to do well in this. I mean, everybody and their dog has talked about how amazing Daniel Jones has been since the entire time of the season. Who would have thought that? Again, like, and I just looked at stats, he's only had 2 interceptions this season so far, which, he's tied 37th. So, he's doing his job. And I can bore everybody to death with the Jaguars, that something's actually clicked and something's moving on. Just so everybody can preference this is before Monday Night Football. So I don't want to, no one clip that as if it all goes wrong tonight. I don't want to talk about it to anybody. But yeah, we still look inconsistent, but there is that flash. So, and just after years of waiting, we actually might have contenders that want to take control rather than just stumble into this, which is great.
Yeah, we did talk down the AFC South at the start of the season because it's anybody's to win. Who would have known that there's 3 teams? Definitely 2 at the moment. Bags kind of just lingering at the back there. But Colts kept it going. The steamrolled the Raiders 40-6. Just Jonathan Taylor, 3 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion last night. He absolutely ran riot last night, so that was great for him. Raiders are done for. Geno Smith was sacked for four times last night. watching the highlights back and watching on Red Zone, he lost 38 yards on those sacks. It wasn't just like he was in the pocket, he was scrambling for his life, and the Colts defense got to him. Yeah, and he also threw for 2 interceptions. Back to your point, AFC South, well and truly alive and kicking. So that was great. All right, something else. I'm going to stick with the player thing. I say the Cowboys found George Pickens as WR2. I think the Cleveland Browns have finally found a replacement for Nick Chubb at running back. I think Quinshon Judkins, and I said this at the start of the season, I'm going to call Brian out right now. Brian said he will not place a cleat on the field this season. How wrong is he? Quinshon Judkins, so far this season, 72 carries, 347 yards, averaging just under 5 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns. But what he has done, maybe not his stats himself, is made that Browns offense more dynamic, because the teams now need to scheme against a running back who is a good running back, whereas they don't just expect it to go out and be a passing game with the Browns. Browns were unlucky against the Vikings. The Vikings absolutely mugged them in London on Sunday afternoon. The Browns had that game in the bag, and the Vikings somehow got the field goal to win it. So, yeah, I have found a new running back for the Cleveland Browns at NFL HQ this weekend. It's Quinshon Judkins. Right. One more for you, Sarah. We've got one more thing that you found this week in the NFL.
The Panthers actually have a fighting spirit and won't just let it all completely run away from them. I mean, they had their win against the Falcons, which, was that. We must be writing that off, because who knows what happened there, right? Essentially. But they're down 17-0 early against Miami, and instead of just letting that happen, they fight back to win. I thought Rico Dowdle had a great day. 206 total rushing yards, 1 touchdown, was just totally there. And obviously you're keeping that offense balanced and composed, which is really difficult to do when you haven't scored anything. And I think for a team that's still massively in their rebuilding era, this kind of comeback sets that culture for them. Yep. And they're down at the bottom of the standings, but that energy and execution just looked different, and they've got something they can actually now start building upon. I think I don't think there is no chance they're in the running for anything, but I think it's on. I think you can feel their fight coming back.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the Panthers, they took the lead with just 2 minutes to go. They fought to the end, and the Dolphins just couldn't catch up with them. But there was a reason why that happened, which we'll come to in a minute with the Dolphins. So I'm going to let you continue. Give me the first thing that was lost this week. Oh, I'm going to say it was lost because he's not lost it yet, but I think he should be losing it. So, crack on that same game. Give me the loss.
Mike McDaniel's job.
Yes. How has he not been sacked yet?
I don't know. Well, we've checked it right now, and he's still got a job, which I don't really know.
He's still the Dolphins head coach.
I don't know. It even just comes down to simple things, as you were watching some of the interviews with Tua last week, you're just like, why are we doing this with Tua as well? This entire regime needs an overthrow. It needs something looked at. And obviously it all kind of starts with your head coach, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And the problem the Dolphins had last night in this game, obviously it was a tight game. They had 3 huge penalties in the fourth quarter. So first of all, Chop Robinson get done for a hip drop tackle, which was a 15-yard penalty, which automatic first down for the Panthers, allowed them to continue with their drive. On the same drive, Jack Jones had a defensive holding, again extends the drive because I guess an automatic first down, which that then led to the Panthers going down the field and scoring and taking the lead. And then the Dolphins had a chance to get back in it. They didn't. They end up punting. Panthers get the ball back and they're driving, and it's 3rd down. And Jack Jones pass interference. It's 3rd and 5. And there's a pass interference. And it basically gave the Panthers, an automatic first down. They ran out the clock and it absolutely killed the game. So 3 really bad penalties. The Chop Robinson hip drop tackle was a terrible tackle. There was no need for him to do it either. He just pulled Bryce Young down and just rolled onto his legs. There was no need for it on the tackle, and it just killed the Dolphins. Those 3 big penalties across that game absolutely killed them. It's not the only thing that was wrong with their performance, but that, and when you're trying to get back into the game, when you try to stop a team from going up to win the game, you can't have mistakes like that, especially 2 from the same player, and Jack Jones on that fourth quarter absolutely killed them. Right, I'm going to go to it for a big one. This is a big loss. Double loss. No undefeated season. No undefeated teams left in the NFL this week. The Eagles lost to the Broncos, which was a deserved win for the Broncos, I'm going to say. I was impressed with the Broncos yesterday. Bo Nix was brilliant for them. They had some great plays. We spoke about some of the quarterbacks earlier on. There was a drive, and I think it was the fourth quarter. It was either 3rd or 4th quarter. They were just methodical. They just worked their way down the field, and it was like, whatever play we call, it's going to be successful. And it led to them getting in the end zone. I'm pretty sure it was a J.K. Dobbins touchdown drive. I need to watch it back exactly, but it was a drive. They just marched it down the field and got the touchdown at the end of it. The Eagles, the run game, non-existent. 45 yards on the ground for the Eagles. That Denver defence was superb. Bartley got 30 yards, A.J. Dillon got 12 yards, and Jalen Hurts only got 3 yards on 2 carries. They shut them down massively. A big part of that was Nick Benito, 2.5 sacks. He got on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was sacked 6 times in this game.
And that's unheard of. Like, he can get out of anything. Like, you sometimes just go, how has he managed to do that? Which is why, if he's not rushing in, if he's not getting anything on the ground, then they're all over them, essentially.
Yeah, and that is exactly what happened. I mean, Jalen Hurts went 23 for 208 yards with 2 touchdowns. But the big key part of this was that the Broncos won the fourth quarter 18-0. That's what killed me. The Eagles were 17-3 up at the start of the fourth quarter. I mean, and again, we spoke about it, the Dolphins. It was an absolute killer of a penalty for them as well. Zach Bond was done for a 15-yard penalty for a late hit. I can't remember who it was on. If it was Marvin Mims or Colton Sutton, I can't remember exactly what it was on. But they'd stopped him. It was 4th and 2. Basically, the tackle was made. It was 3rd and 2. Tackle was made, no gain, and he came in late and just hit and basically automatic first down. That if it had me for that penalty, the Broncos would have had to have kicked a field goal at that point, which would have given them a 4-point lead, and the Eagles would have had over 2 minutes on the clock with a 2-minute warning and a timeout still left to pull back a touchdown to get that. They did get the ball back, but they ended up with 2 shots at the end zone from the 29 yards. But the Broncos defense stood firm, but. Yeah, Broncos well deserved that victory. So well done to the Broncos picking that victory and beating the Philadelphia Eagles. At least somebody can beat them this season. It's definitely not the Cowboys. And the other team who were undefeated came into last night, and I woke up to this morning because I was not watching Sunday Night Football. The Bills get beat, but not only did they get beat, they beat by the Patriots. What is that all about, Sarah? What was that all about?
Listen, I said, if I click back to the start, I said, do not count the Patriots out. I just knew something potentially could do it. I'm not surprised. This is a division game. Division games are always like this. You just don't know. Like, I mean, so they don't score in the first quarter, which is unheard of for Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen normally gets down, does something, then they only score a field goal in the second quarter, and then you get your touchdown, and then you get your 10 points in the fourth. Yep. Like, I don't know. He only, 22 out of 31 for 253 yards for 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. It's not exactly bad. It's not the worst stat he's ever done in his life.
No, this is very much like the 49ers and the Rams game, with both teams in terms of the possession and yards and all were very even. I mean, if essentially that field goal that the Patriots kicked in the first quarter won them the game, because every other quarter was tied, 3 each in the second quarter, 7 each in the third quarter, 10 each in the fourth quarter. So that field goal that the Patriots kicked in the first quarter won them the game. But I'll tell you something, there was one player on that field last night who played with a massive chip on his shoulder, and that was Stephon Diggs. He went for 146 yards last night. I don't think Stephon Diggs probably not done that since his Vikings days. I don't know if he's ever done that anywhere else, but 146 yards. He didn't get into the end zone, but 10 catches for 146 yards was massive in helping that Bills team get that victory.
Important. That's important, right? That is just smart. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to move the ball. I'm going to be there when I need to be there. And I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get a touchdown. I'm surprised he wasn't screaming, being like, give me a touchdown, give me a touchdown. It was funny.
He did have 2 massive catches. One was at least inside the 10, and the other one was inside the 5. He actually got to the 1 with one of them, so then they had it to Ramondre Stevenson to get all the glory. But I was massively impressed with Drake May last night. I've never been sold on Drake May, but there was one thing last night, is when he got a lot of protection, the Patriots offensive line did give him a good bit of protection last night, and he could pick the passes when he had to, but also when he had to scramble, it was phenomenal. It was 3 phenomenal throws that he made well on the run. One was to Diggs, which is the one I mentioned, inside the 10, where it was scrambled, and if you watch highlights back, Diggs does about 3 pirouettes to try and get away for the DB, and eventually gets away, and Drake May found him. There was another one, again, where he scrambled to his right, and he got Stevenson, one of the greatest toe taps I've seen so far this season, basically on the sideline. And then the fourth quarter, the guy's hanging onto the back of his shirt, and he throws it away to Stephon Diggs to pick up a first down. I think it was like a 12-yard throw. Drake May was brilliant last night for the Patriots, and with him tied up with that connection with Stephon Diggs, made a massive difference to the Patriots last night. Great win for the Patriots. Not a bad performance by the Bills, as you said, just didn't do enough to win the game. Does take them to 4-1, so we'll see how that goes going forward. I still don't think there's any issues in terms of the Bills winning that division, but That does put the Patriots only 1 game back on them now.
Oh, well, I did say they'd finish second, so
Let's see what happens next week, because we could end up being so what's it? Quick look at the fixtures for next week. Bills have got Atlanta. Patriots have got the Saints. So there you go. But
they both won that.
well, we thought the Saints were going to get hammered this week. But just for we're not covering the game in the but the Saints beat the Giants this week. Nobody's seen coming. And one other stat based on those two teams, both teams lost their undefeated record at home as well. So that was an interesting point as well. The Eagles were undefeated in 12 games at home before last night. So lose your undefeated record in that game at home is not the way you want to do it. But one other thing I want to mention, I remember, massive shout out to Team USA and Team Canada flag football teams. They played a scrimmage game at half time between the Bills and the Patriots. So great to see more spotlight being shined on the flag game across the world. So great for the players on both sides of that last night. Right, one last Sarah. This I'm going to say lost. This is in the ether of never going to recover from these sort of things. So give me the last thing that was lost, or things that were lost by a team this week.
So the Cardinals just lost. They lost. They lost everything. I do know. I woke up. So I had missed the end part of this game. I woke up to a TikTok of somebody who had clipped the last little bit of this game. And what the heck went on there? I was just watching it going, I don't understand anything that's happened. Like, I was just so confused. So the Titans are trailing 21-6 in the fourth. And then they obviously take advantage of two massive blunders. And like, we'll just walk through it, right? So Kyler Murray snaps the ball. It hits his helmet. It then ricochets into the open space, and the Titans obviously recover it, right? So that happens. So that doesn't look great for you. And then you get your end zone fumble. 42-yard touchdown, we just wipe off because, we're just going to drop it. We're just going to drop it right before we get to the end zone, which I don't understand. That is the second time that's happened so far this season?
Adonai Mitchell done it for the Colts the other week. Emari DeMarcado this week decided to run a whole 70 yards down the field and drop the ball on the half-yard line, which then rolled out the back of the end zone for a touchback for the Titans.
I just don't get it. I don't understand how you just can't hold the ball for that point, because then you just start celebrating hilariously. But my strange prediction is now at least half of the teams in the NFL will do that this season.
I mean, surely it can't get any worse than Cardinals fumbling the ball on the half-yard line for a touchback.
Well, you say that. But then you get a tip pass that then, by the Titans, which then is intercepted and is then rolls about and nobody knows what to do with it, which then goes into the end zone, and Tyler Lockett goes, well, if no one else is going to jump on it, I'll jump on it. So there you go. There's your touchdown. And that essentially seals the game. Yeah. Seals the game. That's an 18-point lead you just diminish in the space of 6 minutes?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the Cardinals were leading 21-6 at half time. The Cardinals then never scored a point in the second half.
Yep.
And the Titans scored 16 in the fourth quarter to win the game 22-21. If you have not seen Tyler Lockett's touchdown, please go and look at this play. As Sarah mentioned, the ball, Cam Ward pass is tipped up in the air. The Cardinals receiver catches. You're thinking, brilliant. He then somehow hits the ground and drops the ball. So it is a catch and then a fumble. They go to recover it. One of the DBs knees the ball towards the end zone. Their own end zone, should I say. Yeah. And then another player goes to recover it and bats it into the end zone. And you mentioned Tyler Lockett just went, there's a ball, I will fall on that and score 6 points. Yep. So it went from the Cardinals having the ball, an interception, to Tyler Lockett getting a touchdown.
It's just the stuff you can't. And
it's just crazy.
You just can't make it up. And I always feel quite bad for Kyler Murray, right? Because he doesn't have bad games. I mean, he didn't have a bad game last night. 23 out of 31 for 220. He was sacked 3 times. Obviously, there was no passing touchdowns. And he's not been bad. Like, he's only thrown 3 interceptions this season so far. He's like, it's not his fault.
Well, to be fair, on the first fumble, which will be as credit to him, was not his fault either, because he's calling an audible, and I think it's the right guard or the right tackle stands up to hear what the call is, and for some reason at that point the centre decides, I'm going to snap the ball, and it literally just hits him smack in the face. And I think there's a moment of what just happened, and by
Yes.
the time that's happened, the defensive player's on top of the ball and they've recovered it. So those 3 turnovers last night, so that one, that's just a shambles. The DeMarcado one, that's a touchdown. And then the defense are like, we've got the ball, we're going to win the game, we're just going to run the clock out. No, we'll just give the Titans a touchdown as well. It was crazy to watch. The Cardinals are now 2-3, but they lost absolutely everything in that game last night. And those 3 turnovers were just...
dignity, respect, you name it, it's gone. And like I get they're 2-3, fine, whatever, but they're in a hard division. Like that's the NFC West. Like that's not easy. Like you've got 3 teams above you who are really having a good performance and a good show every week.
Yeah.
And yeah, they need to just stop beating themselves. Is essentially what's happening.
It was just crazy. And the Cardinals are at the Colts next week as well. I mean,
so how they
the Cardinals
lose that?
I'll tell you something, we've not done this with any other team, but we're going to do it with the Cardinals just to show how bad it's getting for them. Colts, Packers, Cowboys, Seahawks, 49ers, Jags, Bucks, Rams, Texans, Falcons, before they get the Bengals in the second last game of the season, and then they close out against the Rams.
2 games they'll lose?
They'll win.
2 games they'll win?
Yeah. The Jags and the Bengals.
Yeah, totally. The Jags and the Bengals. Yeah. Aye. Because our defense will just let them. We'll just lie down.
They'll just fumble the ball at the end zone anyway if you do that, so it's fine.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Trevor Lawrence will throw about 6 interceptions and then go, that's okay then. Actually, we'll
6 interceptions for Trevor Lawrence equals 36 points for the Jags. Anyway, sorry, Cardinals fans are watching, listen, but your team absolutely shot himself in the foot last night and deserve all the slagging that they're getting right now. One off player how I want to shout out this week in another game. Sorry, lost and found. We finished that segment. Sorry, that was a great wee segment, Sarah. I enjoyed that. One off player who I want to give a shout out this week is Bill Jacory Crossgate Merritt. He went for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Commanders. They had a very impressive win over the Chargers. I was watching the game and I just thought the Chargers seemed to be, they went 10-0 in the first quarter and then scored no more points. This is weird for the Chargers, but I was watching it. It didn't seem to be struggling to move the ball too much. They were getting some good catches, some good runs, but who knows? Anyway, Bill, great performance for him. Kind of a bit of a breakout performance for him at running back now. They don't have, he is basically our RB1 now, so great performance for him. So I just wanted to give him a wee shout out as well. Right, week 5 is in the bag. Week 6 is coming up. Sarah, give me 2 games you are looking forward to watching next weekend in week 6.
So I'm looking forward to, now with one of these teams performing quite well, and we'll maybe see what happens tonight. But I'm looking forward to the Lions at Kansas City. I feel like that's an obvious one to look forward to. Like, you're going to get the physicality of the Lions meeting like the precision of Kansas City, and I think it's just going to be totally like grit versus glamour, and we'll see what happens with the AFC playoff after that, because depending also what happens tonight, the Chiefs may actually have totally flipped their season around. I'm looking forward to that. And then the flip side of that, I'm looking forward, and you've mentioned the Commanders, but I'm looking forward to their game against the Bears.
Yeah.
Because you've got those young quarterbacks and they're both kind of rebuilding kind of those rosters. And it's just going to be who's going to outduel the other one. Will Washington's defense kind of sort of remind Chicago that, okay, you're getting there, but you're not quite there yet. So I think it'll be interesting. Yeah.
One other game I'm looking forward to, we mentioned the Bills earlier on. I want to see how they bounce back. They've not got an easy game next week. They're at the Falcons, who I've been impressed with Falcons this week. On the show last week, I talked about how I feel they've got that offense is all clicked together. So it'll be interesting to see how they face up next week. That is Monday Night Football next week. So that'll be an interesting game to see. The Bills going to Atlanta after that loss last night. Falcons coming off the bye, so that offense is really ticking. They've had another week to work on it and the training ground, see how they do. Another game, I don't like to say this very often, but I think game of the week next week is going to be the 49ers against the Bucks. I'm really looking forward to that game. You mentioned earlier on about how well the 49ers are doing, how well Matt Jones is doing. Bucks are just a good team to watch. Baker Mayfield's great to watch. So that's another one I'm looking forward to watching. That is going to be one of the late games on Sunday night. So yeah, that's the 2 games I got. I'm really looking forward to 49ers against the Bucks. I think that's going to be really, really intriguing. Yeah, I just like watching Baker Mayfield play. I think he's a superstar, and it's nice to see him continuing to build upon what Liam Gordon taught him last year. Right, that's week 5 in the bag, Sarah, and that is week 6. Look forward to just slightly without giving them too much away. So thank you very much for joining me on the show tonight. No problem. Come talk to me tomorrow morning and we'll see how I feel after tonight. Yeah. We should maybe get a wee reel of you up just crying Maybe that's what
Why do you think I'm going to lose? This is so unfair. Slander.
Well, do you know
This is
what? I'm
unfair.
actually looking forward to tonight's game. I think I may be able to see some of it while I edit the podcast to get ready up tomorrow morning. So I'm looking forward to it. If not, I'll catch the highlights in the morning. But I am looking forward to it. It should be a good game. Could go either way, which you probably wouldn't have said in recent years with the Jags against the Chiefs.
Well, I mean, apart from when that playoff run, like I don't think we should. I mean, we all. And hey, listen, everybody, listen. We injured Patrick Mahomes one of the last times we played him. So just you wait.
So what Sarah is saying is under her desk is her voodoo doll of Patrick Mahomes that she used the last time she played play again tonight.
I'm just going to contact my Etsy witch just to say, listen, could you just make this happen, please?
Excellent. Right. Looking forward to that. You can tell us tomorrow morning if you're happy or sad.
I will.
I say tomorrow morning. It's now this morning because people are watching this on Tuesday morning. So, yes. Anyway, thank you to everybody for watching and listening to episodes tonight. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch every episode we do. And we've got a couple of in conversations with lined up. Feels like ages since we've done one of them. Looking forward to that. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube, all your podcast platforms, follow us on Instagram to make sure you keep up with all our latest content. Until next time, we'll see you soon.